By now, you're probably thinking, how do I create an EC2 instance myself? In this video, we're going to walk through the process of creating an EC2 instance for a web server using the AWS Management Console. We'll go over some key configurations along the way, so let's get started. First thing we want to do is go to the EC2 console. Now, I happen to have it here in my recently visited and in my shortcuts bar, but I could just as easily search for EC2 and go to that service. There are tons of options in here, but we're going to go and zero in specifically on the Launch Instance option. First thing we have to choose is a name. We have to choose our instance name so we can find it later. Next thing we're going to do is choose the Amazon Machine Image, or AMI. An AMI is a template of the operating system and the built-in applications that it's going to come with. We can customize this, but for right now, we're going to go with a default, the Amazon Linux AMI. Now, this Amazon Linux AMI is perfect for a general use web server. The next thing we have to decide on is the instance type. This refers to how much computing power our web server is going to have. In this case, we're going to choose just the basic T2 micro. We'll go over some of the details that makes up this T2 micro a little bit later, but for right now, this is going to be fine. 1 virtual CPU, 1 gigabyte of memory, and it's in the free tier. Sounds good to me. The next thing we choose is the key pair, and this is related to how we're logging into this EC2 instance. A key pair refers to a pair of keys, specifically a public key, which is going to be injected into the EC2 instance, and a private key, which we will keep. We can create that key pair right here, but I'm going to go ahead and choose a key that we've already established. The next section is choosing the network settings. We're going to have a lot of fun going through all these details a little bit later, but for right now, suffice it to say, we're going to allow HTTP traffic from the internet. It is going to be a web server after all, so that's all we have to do. The next option we have to choose is the storage options for our EC2 instance. In this case, we're going to give it 8 gigabytes of disk space using the GP3 EBS volume, or Elastic Block Store volume. We'll go over what that means a little bit later, but this means it's going to have plenty of space for web serving. And speaking of web serving, we do have to make one more change, so it actually is a web server. When we picked the AMI, we picked a very generic AMI. This doesn't have the web server activated at launch. In order to do that, we're going to go into the advanced details, specifically down to the user data section. What the user data allows us to do is paste in a script such as this one, which will go ahead and install and activate the Nginx web server, which is what we're going to be used to serve content to the internet. All this looks fine, so I'm going to go ahead and hit Launch Instance, and we'll see what we get. As soon as the instance launches, we can go to its console and see some of the details about that EC2 instance. Now that our EC2 instance is running, I'm going to copy its public IP address. I'm going to open a new browser, and let's go to it. And there you have it, your very own EC2 instance running a basic web server. Congratulations! That's a basic thing for setting up EC2 instances, and we're going to get into more details about the nuances later in the course, so stay tuned.